This is TWTWTW, and I'm Hereward the Woke. I'm your stand-up comedian today. I hate Normans and people who don't like us wokes. Poor old Kim Kardashian was ridiculed this week for listening to ex-Kanye West's new album, Thunder, on mute. Kim and Kanye have had a difficult time of it. Kim turns the sound off when listening to his records, and Kanye spends his time putting the cellulite back in her snaps, otherwise known as un-airbrushing. Boris Johnson is very streetwise. He's just announced a £10 million blitz to get rid of the bubblegum staying in our streets. Producers have fought back to curb the chewing public's rocket habit and clean up our walkways. I don't know. I shall miss the little grey patches all over the pavements. I think it's quite artistic. What happens if the gum was dropped by Johnny Rotten or Sid Vicious? It's a cultural icon, isn't it? No, leave well alone. Why is it only on the pavements, though? You never see any bubblegum on the grass verges or in roads, do you? So what happens to that? I don't think they should stop at bubblegum. Go on to Licorice Whirls, Haribo and Jelly Babies. Afghan refugees could be housed at Bunting's holiday parks, but they have been warned that the Americans may accidentally carpet bomb Bunting's, and the SAS might murder them in their beds. An oral history of Oxford AstraZeneca, said one paper this week. Making a vaccine in a year is like landing a human on the moon. Yeah, but the moon did not, however, suffer from fucking blood clots, did it, after the visit by Apollo 9? The AstraZeneca is only 67% efficient, so why didn't Neil Armstrong land on Mars by fucking mistake? Whilst who else but the Daily Star said, blokes have added a huge 3,766 feet to their penises over the last 2 decades, stats reveal. Which explains why I need a bigger house. I have to sit in the hallway if I want to watch the flaming TV. A caterpillar has a dozen feet, so what does that make the average man? A bloody centipede. Neighbours of Harry and Meghan complained this week over the smell of a huge weed factory close to their US homes. Marijuana can actually cause you to make errors and bad decisions, which might be the reason why Harry and Meghan have made some blunders recently. It also might explain why the Queen built the factory in the first place. But it doesn't explain why that creep Piers Morgan knocked himself out by walking into a window at the TV awards. Or does it? Weatherspoons is running out of beer. Shortages at Weatherspoons after Brexit and COVID have hit supply chains. It's perfect karma, isn't it? All the Brexiteers and workers who like their beer and voted for Brexit. What happens? We run out of beer. Hit them where it hurts, God. Atta boy. What next? A shortage of cocaine? This week, a Navy helicopter crashed 60 miles off the coast of San Diego after taking off from USS Abraham Lincoln. Rescue crews saved at least one service member. Well done, America. The Taliban are flying the Americans' helicopters they left in Afghanistan, while the Americans are crashing them. So now you know why the Taliban won, don't you? And now on to old Beefy. I really struggle to have a soft spot for a prawn, he said, as Ian Botham took the lead in the battle against the bizarre law to recognise that animals have feelings. Ian does have feelings and regularly vents his spleen against wokes who upset him. Beefy doesn't like the idea that animals have feelings, and we don't like the idea of having a big-mouthed libertarian lord spouting his mouth off all the time. Royal grandchild Lady Louise had no concept the Queen and her gran were the same person. Silly cow. And in a few months' time, she'll struggle with the conundrum of Prince Andrew and prisoner 49276 in San Quentin, won't she? While Manchester City star Benjamin Mendy had a meltdown when he arrived in jail awaiting his rape trial because he thought he would be put on the VIP wing. Sorry, Benji, Prince Andrew is currently renting out the old wing in preparation for his court case. This week, the Met Police were accused of victim blaming for urging gay people to avoid dark areas after a suspected homophobic murder. Other dark areas to avoid are the police's lack of accountability, their failure to prosecute more than 3% of rape cases, and the amount of policemen prosecuted for child sex abuse. This week, ministers were missing in action amid claims 9,000 Afghans eligible for escape were left behind. I prefer the phrase absent without leave, AWOL. Wouldn't the story have read better if it had said 9,000 Tory ministers eligible for escape were left behind in Afghanistan? The papers told us that Armour celebrity staff locked Emily Attack's hotel fridge to avoid a huge booze bill. They should have got Smirnoff to sponsor a fridge, shouldn't they? However, ITV quickly came out to say that in no way was this a suggestion that old Emily is an alcoholic or has an alcohol problem. As it happens, Emily managed to hire the services of a locksmith before the cold turkey got too much of a problem. ITV also managed to put a lock on her bed, but that's something else altogether. We also heard in the gutter press that the Queen sacked a nanny amid a row over Prince Charles's pudding. Apparently the Queen wouldn't stop pouring poor Charles's dessert all over his head while calling him a loser. Which isn't that surprising because the old bugger Philip actually said that Charles looked like a plum pudding. Well, there you are then. This week, the Queen's helicopter was forced to turn back after an in-flight emergency. Apparently, Prince Harry was at the controls and was trying to crash it into Prince William's castle. Though that isn't actually true, is it? The pilot was on his way to Afghanistan to pick up some fresh corgis for the old girl. This week, loser Gavin Williamson claimed that schools could improve children's behaviour by keeping them in lunch bubbles, inspired by COVID distancing. What next? Keeping the little perishes in handcuffs or duct taped to the chairs in the classroom? Now here's a good idea. Williamson should be put in some bubblegum and stuck to the pavements outside Parliament. That will keep him busy, won't it? The battle over the Guy's Hospital statue is only about looking woke, claimed the press this week. I think they should start putting up statues to Guy Fawkes. He at least had a go to bring down an unpopular British government. Is Guy's Hospital in commemoration to him? All those bonfire night casualties must have kept a lot of doctors and nurses fully employed. How about a Guy's Hospital statue commemorating all those woke women who campaigned against slavery? There's future Queen set off this week for the Euro Royals hippie Hogwarts. Princess Leona left for the Welsh boarding school where she'll learn Tai Chi, Tibetan literature and leadership, alongside Princess Alexia of the Netherlands. Tai Chi, Tibetan literature and leadership. Are Spain planning an invasion of Tibet or something? I didn't know they taught Tai Chi, Tibetan literature and leadership at Hogwarts. I thought it was all brooms, witchcraft and silly made-up games like Quidditch. However, I like the sound of the new Hogwarts. Tell Rowling it's full of transgender people and she'll write a book about it, won't she? Steph McGovern's class war at the BBC, wrote the Express this week. Posh women are paid a hell of a lot more for the same jobs. Don't worry, it's just the same with prostitutes, Steph. No, I don't mean it. However, why don't you develop a posh working class accent and see how much they'll give you? About £100 a week less, I should imagine. Our Steph would go to elocution lessons, but she doesn't want to upset the 3 people in her fan club. A Wetherspoons fan invented an online game which means hundreds of thousands of punters get free drinks. Unfortunately, at the moment, none of the drinks can be delivered. The game involves posting your table number on the Wetherspoons Facebook page in the hopes that someone online will buy your drink. It's not a game, mate. It's called begging. Nigel Farage tried it, but unfortunately Wetherspoons doesn't sell Bishop's nipples, does it, Nigel? This has been Paddy McGuinness, and this is my day job. See you next week on TWTWTW.